One way to begin to change the arc of your life as a leader is to ask, what's the boldest thing I can do today? That's this week on the Badass Agile podcast. Greetings, team. Welcome to the Badass Agile podcast. I'm your host, Chris Williams. All right, crew, how was your weekend? Thank you for tuning in. It's wonderful to see you. You guys look good. I got a question for you. How often do we do the boldest thing possible? I doubt it's very often. Instead, I would propose that so many of us, so often, lead lives of simple, quiet, calm, failing to challenge the norm, failing to reach beyond our perceived limitations, to do things that would truly dazzle our teams, our customers, our clients. Well, before we get into it, let's take a moment to remember why we're here. To create an elite tribe of leaders who truly serve their clients and communities by doing what matters and what works. Relentlessly chasing value and excellence like a badass. There's so many resources out there about what you need to do to be agile, but we're focused on who you need to become in order to lead teams. So let's hammer down those fundamentals to create a truly unique and powerful force in this industry. Now, if this helps you, just tell your friends. Every day, no matter where you lead or how you lead, your day is going to present you with opportunities and choices. And what you choose in those moments reflects your attitude towards comfort and risk. How do you force yourself to take the road less traveled, to do the thing that no matter how difficult, you must face, you must do? How do you force yourself to continuously and consistently live in your fear zone? The easiest way that I've found is to try asking yourself that simple question each and every day. How did I lean into my fear zone today? Rejecting safety, doing the difficult thing, the thing that must be done, the thing that if I do it, I truly believe will crack open my greatest challenges, my biggest blockers and limitations. I used to ask this question at the end of the day. How did I lean into my fear zone? But it might be actually better to begin the day with the proposition, what can I do today? What's the one thing I can do that puts me in that place where I'm most uncomfortable? Because I think if you start thinking about it ahead of time, you don't reach the end of the day and say, oh, I forgot. I missed it. I got so busy today that I didn't have a chance to be bold and courageous. I don't know how many of you have morning rituals, but this would be a good one. So what should the answer be? How do I lean into my fear zone? How do I do something requiring courage and risk? Something where the payoff would be huge in direct proportion to the risk and challenge involved. How do you answer that question well? The first thing you can't do is be vague. You can't just say, I'm going to find something scary and do it. You can't just say, I'm going to confront that difficult conversation. And it's certainly, like anything else in Agile, can't be ing things. It can't be thinking, planning, meeting, etc. It has to be something done. Something at the end of the day you tick off the box because the outcome is in your hands. You've gotten the result. Now, the good news is, things that put you in your fear zone could very easily be personal, professional, or other. What we're trying to get at here is flexing the muscle of doing the difficult thing, the thing that will stretch you, the thing that will grow you, the thing that will develop the courage muscle. That's all we want. So maybe it's showing up to the gym after 2 years of absence, worrying about how people are going to see you or look at you, wondering if people think you're a failure, not sure if you yourself can do it. Can you manage the pain and the discomfort? That's an example of flexing the courage muscle, and it would be a great place to start. But the only way you can check that one off the list for the day is if you go to the gym, do the work. If you back down and postpone it for another day, that's not good enough. That's thinking, planning. It's not done. But let's be honest. This podcast is not about getting to the gym every day. We want to know how to become badass delivery mechanisms. We want to be courageous leaders in our space. So the difficult things are going to be difficult things related to our practice. For me, it could be putting a new podcast, new piece of content, or a new product out into the marketplace. Something where I'm not sure if people are going to like it. Leaning into the fear zone means put it out there today, commit. Go out on Instagram and let everyone know that the thing's gone live. Start telling my customers about it. But if what you're doing instead is saying things like, well, this takes time. Let's be honest, developing a new product is not something you do overnight. So we really need a 30-day, 90-day planning window here, and then we can do the difficult, courageous thing. No. You've been thinking about this long enough. Today's the day you launch. That's courage. For you, courage today might mean speaking to someone you don't feel entitled or prepared to speak to. It could be a C-level executive with which you need to discuss how to handle or clear a blocker. And when you speak with integrity, truth, honesty, and plainness. Living in your fear zone means telling it like it is. What is it they need to hear that they're not going to want to hear? And then saying it anyway. Until you do that, you're not helping anyone, you're not delivering any value, and you certainly won't be clearing any blockers, much less flexing any courage muscle. Now, that's a big one for a lot of people, speaking truth to power or simply speaking your beliefs with clarity and certainty without using any ambiguous language or covering it in maybes or I wonder ifs, because we're so afraid of being seen as arrogant or too bold or too bossy. But there again is that ugly word, afraid. That's why it's in your fear zone, because when we think about the outcomes, we don't like what we see. In truth, you're trading. With risk, you're always trading. You're trading downside for upside. You're trading probabilities. So there is a chance that you could come off as wrong or arrogant or too bold. And people may hate you for that. But in your heart, if you know that the thing you're doing is the thing that must be done, that's what's going to carry you through your fear zone to the other side, where you've got the outcome in your hands and you can say, I did what others were unwilling to do. And as a result, I got the outcome that others have failed to get. Your fear zone could be living any kind of truth around any belief that you may have. If you think that there's one way of doing Kanban better than anything else that you've read or seen, and that means that you're bucking the system and popular opinion, but you know that it works, you know that this is how we're going to create meaningful change and meaningful outcomes, then you must do it. That's your fear zone. For other people, it could be simple things like social anxiety or fear of public speaking. Could it be fear of meeting new people? It could be the fear of facing that everything we believed or everything that we have done or done a certain way is wrong and needs to be revisited, uprooted, and changed. That can be terrifying for some people. But all of these things, whether the threats and fear are real, whether they're physical, whether they're emotional, whether they're existential, in order to live in your fear zone and grow, these are exactly the things that you must address in priority order. Because if failing to face our fears, if failing to do the difficult thing, or to say the unpopular thing, or to believe the unpopular thing, is holding your team up from getting what they want, from delivering results, from leading well-balanced, fulfilling, inspiring lives, then the inverse of doing it, that is to say not doing it, or waiting, or excusing, or procrastinating, is the worst kind of betrayal that a leader can ever experience and inflict on others. And when you look at it that way, leaning into your fear zone is not a 30-day challenge. It's not a one-and-done kind of experience. This is a commitment. This is something that we should be asking ourselves every day because it's exactly what we most need every day. If you want to accelerate your growth, if you want to experience your own limitlessness, if you want to be the greatest leader that you can be for your team, if you want to be the greatest contributor that you can be for your team, you owe it to yourself to put your focus on doing the boldest thing. It's not enough to simply recognize and address and name your fear. It is to identify the one boldest, scariest thing you can do today. Because once you've identified it, once you have seen it, once you've had that gut level internal feeling of, oh wow, that's terrifying to me, you have now identified your top priority. Your number one backlog item is to act with boldness and certainty in the face of danger, risk, and fear. So what are you waiting for? Get after it. What's the boldest thing you can do today? My friends, I hope that inspires you and helps you. You can reach out as always at badassagile.com. You can find me on Twitter at badass_agile or on Instagram at badassagile. I look forward to hearing from you and seeing you next time. And until then, stay badass.